Decolonising Civil Disobedience, Examining Political Legitimacy and Dissent in Contested Sovereignties, by Bernard Young. There is little hope that Australian Indigenous groups could successfully assert their claims to rights on cultural, political or economic autonomy that are detailed in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples within the current political climate. An historical analysis reveals that since the 1980s, a pattern has emerged that has seen each push for the furtherance of the Indigenous political agenda result in the deterioration of their political and social situation. This conclusion begs the question: what alternative options are available to a native minority who are subject to a dominant settler authority and imposing cultural force in their attempts to assert their claims to self-determination? Much has been said by theorists trying to demarcate philosophical distinctions between different acts of dissent. Whether they be means of understanding what the differences are among lawful protest, civil disobedience, or overt revolution, the emphasis seems to be placed upon finding out what kind of a response to a bad situation can be regarded as acceptable. What action should be taken before and after one chooses to disregard the law, so that the act may be taken to be a legitimate display of protest? My study is focused on understanding what kind of a situation would, on moral grounds, legitimate some form of overt political action, and I'll be using the case study of East Timor to demonstrate the kind of political action that may be morally warranted in response to abuse. This subject has been debated for centuries, with its terms of reference being set out by the grandfathers of both realists and liberals over 300 years ago. Hobbes believed that there could be no justification for a subject to act against the government, while Locke asked, which is better for mankind, that the people be always exposed to the limitless will of tyranny, or that the rulers be sometimes liable? In modern times, popular democratic principles have lent more towards Locke's perspective, yet the debate has become more nuanced, asking if some form of dissenting political participation is seen as required in order to prevent leaders from using the majority's will to justify acting abusively towards minorities, what kind of dissent is appropriate? It seems as though the modern-day popular conception of civil disobedience, outlined by theorists such as Rawls, is understood as a group's publicly demonstrated moral objection to a particular law or laws and the purposeful disregarding of them through non-violent action. Yet other theorists such as Fanon have claimed that in some particular morally reprehensible circumstances, this form of action is not sufficient to alter the course of a polity. Using critical discourse analysis, it is my aim to establish a spectrum of moral grounds for dissent, in order to come to an understanding of what may be considered morally justifiable responses to the socio-political situation faced by Indigenous Australians, before the case study is used to highlight the dynamic relationship between dissent and legitimacy.